All right, we have a nice small group here today, so I figured I would just get started and kind of share like how this will go, and then obviously be able to talk to you all individually if you have questions. But so my name is Jenny Westerkamp. I am the founder of All Access Dietetics and started the company when I was an RD to be back in, oh my gosh, 2008, 2009. And I launched it when I was in my internship at Massachusetts General Hospital. So that's my RD to be story. I felt like going through the process of applying to internships just was way too stressful, and there needed to be a lot more support, not just around like what to do and how to stay on track, but all the strategy that goes into selling yourself, standing out from the competition, and choosing the right program that's going to help you kind of launch your career in the way that you want it. So today, the agenda that I kind of have planned, I wasn't sure how many people would be able to come to the live. I'm recording this for the others that signed up for it, but weren't able to make it. But I figured I could do a run through of the Get Match coaching page and kind of highlight some of the main features of the program and clear up some frequently asked questions that people ask me when they're thinking about getting started. And then obviously can make this as interactive as we can and get your questions answered as well. So for those of you that are here live, if you want to chat in any questions at any point, I'll see those and can address those as I go through. And it might be helpful for me to know where you three could just like chat it in or unmute yourself, but it'd be helpful to know like if when you guys are all applying. So when, what your deadline is. Is it the September deadline? Is it the February 15th deadline? Is it next year after that? So you can either chat or share that now. All right, cool. So we have a February and a September, and then a next year. We have all three. That's awesome. I love that. Okay, great. So it's awesome that you all are here in terms of timing, because that's probably the biggest misconception is that you have to wait to start Get Match coaching. So we start people every month out of the year for all of the deadlines, and people can start as early as a year, like a year and a half before the deadline, because there is, when you're working with a coach, you will have the support, like that email support, and have that person with you to, talk about experiences you should be getting and just different opportunities that might come up. And they can tell you, kind of be like your advisor in those very early stages when you're still just trying to rack up experience and figure out what the best use of your time is to become a competitive applicant. And even for the September 25th deadline, that there could still be things you could do with your coach if you start as soon as possible, because again, there's always strategy and things you can do. Now, I will go through, I'm going to share my screen and walk you through some of the, not the whole page, but the key components, I think, of the Get Match coaching. And then, and again, if I'm going to keep the chat up here, let me just organize my screen. Make sure I could see the chat come through if there's anything that comes up. So this program, this Get Match coaching program, has really been a work in progress. Let's see, we started coaching one-on-one. I did personally in 2011. So a couple of years after we got started, we realized people needed, they were asking me like, well, can you look at my resume? Can you look at my personal statement? And so I started seeing clients, and in the first year, I think I helped 100 people with their applications. And I was like, wow, this is really a need. So we ended up growing the program, very long story short, growing it to where we got it to this point where we created this all-inclusive, fully supportive program that we felt was everything that the student would need in order to feel confident and that they had everything covered in terms of application materials reviewed and enough phone calls and all that. And also that we could make enough impact as their coach. I used to do just resume coaching and personal statement coaching, and found that, we talked to clients that maybe use those services, and then they ended up bombing their interview, applying to the wrong programs, not doing any director communication, all these other things that prevented them from getting matched. So we thought, you know what, we just need to go all in, and we want our clients to go all in on the strategy. and make sure that they're doing every step of the process right. And that's why we changed it to this program, this Get Match coaching program, which now is in its 4th year. And in that year, right, this last year, we had 100% match rate with all of our clients, which is about 100 clients that we helped through and got them into their program. So that's like the story or the background. As you can see, we had 100% of our clients match in April, 100% match in the fall of 2020 as well. So we really figured it out. We have a recipe, we have the roadmap, the strategies. We've worked with so many students at this point that we know how to help any type of client get into programs. So I'm just going to go down here to give you the stats. So we've been doing this now for 12 years. We had 100% match rate in the last year. And we now have 8 coaches that are on our team. And many of them have experience actually sitting on selection committees. We have our newest coach this year, Catherine. She is she's currently a DPD director, and she was a former assistant DI director. So she has great experience, and she's going to be a really versatile coach, being able to help any type of client get through the process. And then to date, we have 1,600 coaching clients that we've helped match over the years. We work with a smaller group now because it's so all inclusive. So our class size of our coaching clients is smaller, but previously we helped hundreds and hundreds each year when we were just doing like personal statement and resume. So that's where that number comes from. But we have seen it all. We've seen all the negative things that can come up on resumes, how to navigate that. People with different backgrounds, different education histories, different timeline and when they're actually applying, low GPAs, criminal backgrounds, which is wild, but how do you navigate that, or how do you navigate anything that's really negative on your application? We've seen it all. We know how to help people, and so that it doesn't stop them from becoming dietitians. So on this page, we have some stories of people that have gone through the process and kind of like why they did it. The one that is my favorite and why I put it as the top is Stephanie here, because she was very low confidence in her application and in herself. And so she worked with our coach, Susan, and she said here, like, she helped me turn my weaknesses into learning opportunities and continuously encouraged me to grow out of my comfort zone. I think that's the power of having the coach, is having that person to really push you. But then also, she says, the advice I received during the coaching experience is not only limited to the internship application, but will carry over into my career. And she's referring to just the idea of how do you communicate? How do you, oh my gosh, of course I have a call. How do you communicate to directors or your potential employers? How do you sell yourself using examples and storytelling? Like, those are just a couple ways that you can learn these skills that you could then use throughout your career, whether it's selling yourself to employers, or if you want your own business, selling yourself to potential clients as well. All right, checking the chat here. Okay, and then, so I'm gonna skip down now to the frequently asked questions, because this comes up a lot on free coaching calls that I'll do with students that are interested in signing up. And as I mentioned from the beginning, even if you're 2 months away, so the September 25th deadline, it's not too late to start coaching. The last day for signing up for coaching is a month before the deadline. So January 15th until February 15th for the February 15th, August 25th for the September 25th. But we very much do not recommend that. That's just for people that if they find out about us very late in the game, or if they thought, oh, I thought I could do this on my own, but I really can't, and now it's a month before the deadline and I don't feel great about my application at all, then we have those 4 weeks. We usually are finishing our existing clients early anyways, so then we have time for those last minute people to come in and we can go through their services really quickly, and they have to turn around their materials like every day, to us, but we can make that happen. And yeah, but ideally it's not that stressful, and you can start early and chip away at things so that it never feels overwhelming. And you can even finish early in that case, and then watch as your classmates and other people just freak out in February trying to scramble and get everything together if February is the deadline. And then the big question is, what is included in the Get Match coaching? And this breaks down exactly what is included right here. So you do get the Get Match course, which is going to be the course I created that walks through every step of the process. It includes the strategies that you should be using, the concepts. It has guides and templates and videos and just tons of information. It's probably about 15 hours of content, but then you obviously take more time to do whatever is suggested in the videos. So not including that amount of time. But this is a great way to lay that foundation so that when you go to work with your coach, you have an understanding of these strategies and you can implement them with your coach in a personalized way. For example, there's a lot of strategy on the personal statement. You can learn about those. And then in the brainstorming call with your coach, you can talk through how you would tell those stories or implement those strategies in your own personal statement with your own unique background and everything that you have. Okay, so that's the Get Match course. You get weekly accountability emails from Susan, who's oversees all of our clients, and we just make sure everyone's in a good spot, everything's going well. And then you have a game plan call, which is the first call that you have with your coach right after you get signed up. From there, on that call, you would be talking about, what's the most urgent goals to have, whether that's program choice research right now, or maybe you need to work on finding preceptors right now, whatever that is, you create a game plan to get started. And then kind of set up your timeline depending on when you start and when your deadline is. And then they will go through like some deadlines that they'll add for you, kind of like a syllabus. It'll feel sort of like, okay, you know exactly when things are due in each step of the process. And then we get into the application help. So you have the personal statement call and 3 rounds of personal statement edits, and then an additional personal statement review with 1 revision each of each additional personal statement. With the personal statement, we suggest, listen to the modules in the Get Matched course, and then you can do this brainstorm call with your coach where you can actually outline together what you're going to say in each paragraph, what examples you're going to use, what details you need to add, and they'll help brainstorm that content. And then you obviously are the one writing that first draft. You send that first draft to your coach, and then they go back and forth 3 times to perfect the statement. So they're looking at the content you're using. They're suggesting like adds or deletions from there. Then they're doing the grammar and spelling review. And then they're also doing the word limit review. So they're helping you shorten. Let's say you're at 1,200 words, it needs to be 1,000. They're helping you identify where you can delete to get to that 1,000 words. So that's like the makeover process that goes on with the personal statement, so that by the end, like every sentence counts. Every sentence is strong, selling you. There's no fluff in there, and it's not generic. It's very much about you and something that only you could write. All right, so that's personal statement. Then we go into the resume, where you're sending your resume into your coach, and then they're reviewing it, giving you all of the edits on organization, bullet points, grammar, spelling. You're sending it back with the edits, and then they're finalizing it and reviewing it one more time before it's final. And from there, not in this order necessarily, usually you'd have some of these calls first before you get into the personal statement and resume, but these are the check-in calls that you're getting that are specific themes. So we definitely want to have a call with your coach on program choices that you're interested in. Are you competitive for those? They'll tell you if they think you should not get in. Or if you should not apply there, or what you can do to increase your chances at those programs if you do want to apply there. That's where I was talking about the experience gaps that you could be identifying if you started early. You could tell your coach like, hey, I'm really interested in Massachusetts General Hospital. And they would tell you, well, based on your resume right now, I think you really need some clinical research experience to be competitive there, so that and then you can go and get that before it's too late and become a more competitive applicant. So they would talk to you about all of those things, not only on the call, but on email as well. Director communication, same thing. Some people are afraid to even talk to directors, but we think this is a huge competitive advantage to have a strong communication plan with directors, starting with the email, going into what you would say in that email, setting up a Zoom call, prepping you for that call, follow-up emails, anything that you could do that also is going to be a way to get to know the program more too, and help you identify if that's truly the program that you want to go to. References assessment call, talking about the strategy there, how you can coach your references on writing great essays and filling out the form correctly. And then a check-in call that's meant to be kind of like a wild card call. So you could use this if you're searching for preceptors and you want to have a preceptor strategy call, or if it's something that you just need extra time on with the program choice, communication with directors, references, whatever that is that comes up. And finally, getting into the final edits here. So you would be getting a review on a supplemental essay. Usually that's happening with like graduate programs right now. There's usually an extra essay. Some internship programs want that as well, or an e-portfolio if you're applying to a program that requires that. So they'll review that, edit it for grammar and content, and then a final diecast review, which they would go into your actual diecast when it's all ready to be submitted. They would act like the director and review it completely for any errors, any grammar, spelling, any things that you did not fill out correctly or that you left too incomplete. They would make sure it was completely error-free before you actually submit it. They would tell you the errors and then you would fix those, and then they would review it one more time for that. And then get ready for interviews from there. Once the deadline goes by, then you're getting interview prep call. There's also modules in the Get Match course with practice questions and sample answers that you can give, which our clients love to see, like the really awesome answers for inspiration on what they should actually be saying in these interviews. And then finally, we added this in the last couple of years, but we added in more check-in calls. So 6 check-in calls. If someone's working with us for 6 months, that would be like 1 additional call a month to check in on random things that come up, all these other small details or updates or questions with diecast with filling that out. So that's all included. Plus there is email support. Like you could always be emailing your coach with these questions or getting on that check-in call and just busting them out, and asking them and answering them quickly on the call. So I'm tired from just even saying all that, but hopefully that gives you an idea of how it's complete support. It's holistic. It's addressing every aspect of the application process, not just diecast. And it's making sure that there's strategy, that you're going above and beyond in every step of that process. And you have that expert in your corner the entire time supporting you. You don't have to think about figuring it out on your own, looking up strategies for personal statements or trying to Google resume templates or anything. That will all be right there for you. And you're going to save so much time by just having that person there doing it with you. All right. And then a few more ones to highlight. FAQs. Like, what if you're applying to future education model programs or both internships and future education model programs? This has been happening now for a couple of years because FEMs have been around, but now they're really more popular. They're getting added now this year, next year for the master's switch over in 2024. But we can just, it would be the same pricing and we would be able to work in any additional like revisions of graduate applications. It hasn't been a problem in the past, but people are a little bit confused if they're applying to an FEM, it doesn't go through a match. Can they still get help from us? And yes, it would be very similar to how we helped people get into graduate programs in addition to their DIs in the past. Our success rate, as I mentioned, is 100% in the last 2 years. And we do this because we can help them get experience or do things that will help them actually get into the program, into programs, or we would suggest specific programs that we know they could get matched to if they have a low GPA or not a lot of experience. with our coaching, who would be your coach? When I get on these free coaching calls with potential clients or just people looking for advice, I do try to understand what their goals are, what their favorite programs are at the moment, and we try to match you with someone that would be a good fit. But that said, like, all of our coaches have a wide variety of experience and could help. But there are, we have 8 coaches at this point all over the country with different specialties and backgrounds. When should you start? Anytime, although I would say now is a great time. And like I said, it was, as early as a year, maybe even a year and a half. We've done that a few times. And then up until that month before, but we work at a variety of paces. It's very individualized, making sure that you're checking off all those services that are included. And you might just do it at a faster pace if you're starting later, or at a slower pace if you're starting earlier. Do you offer payment plans? We do offer payment plans. I'll go back up to the pricing and how that works and how you would sign up with that. And then we do have a link here where you can see where our 2020 class matched and see if your program's on there. But we match people all across the country, all different types of programs. We're really familiar with all the programs that are available because we've at this point matched everyone to pretty much every program in our company history. And then what if you don't get matched? Of course, we can't guarantee. I need to change that. It was 98% in 2019 and 2020, and now it's 100% in 2020, 2021. So that's a good catch. I'll fix that. But in the rare case that you don't get matched, we do help with strategy. Usually we are speaking with the client before, and if we feel like there is this chance that we cannot help you, and that's pretty rare, but if there is that chance, we actually suggest that they hold on coaching until they've either gotten experience or maybe did their master's or are able to do a distance, or something needs to happen in order for us to feel really confident that we can help them. We don't like to have people invest all their money in this program if we don't think we can make it happen for them. All right, and if you can't afford the coaching, there is the Get Matched course alone. There's just no coach involved with that, but it's kind of like do it yourself, and that is available as well. Okay. Low GPA people should talk to me individually. We can talk through how you would navigate that, and you can set up a free call with that link there. And then how do you get started? Okay, let me go up here to how to get started, and then if there's any questions, you guys can put them in the chat box, but hopefully this is helpful in helping you understand like what this experience is like. So when you click Get a Coach, you would be taken to this payment plan page where you would either pick your pay it over 12 months, 6 months, or 3 months, or pay in full. From there, once the first payment is made of any of these payment plans, once you check out here, then we would see that come through. You would get a new client form, and you would submit your new client form to us so that we have all of your background on file. And then in one business day, you would get connected to your coach, and you would schedule that game plan call that I was talking about. That's like the first call to get everything started and figure out what your first steps are, your timeline, calendar, everything out. You get this dashboard, like client dashboard, where you keep all of your notes and everything all in one spot for you and your coach to work through as you go. And then you're just starting your journey to a happy match day from there with more confidence, less stress, all the support in the world, and learning all those new skills that are going to help you not only sell yourself in the internship, but also beyond in your career and maybe in your business if you ever have your own business. Okay, so that is the rundown. Let me stop my share here. And I think, let's see, Mackenzie had a question. So what is considered a low GPA? We did a GPA review, like report last year, where we took every average GPA of current interns that were taken. So this isn't the admissions requirement. This is the GPA of those that actually got accepted. Not all programs reveal this information, but some do, most do actually. And so we got that information, and the average was 3.5 for those traditional limited number of spots, like 15 spots or less type programs. So that, to be super duper competitive, 3.5, I think is where it's at. But then as you get lower, I think if you're below a 3.0, that is something that you'd really want to make sure you had other selling points to balance that out, or you took the DTR exam to try to get directors more confident in your competence with your knowledge. The reason GPA is such a big deal is because directors are using that to assess your competence in the material that you need to know before you go into the internship, and also to pass the RD exam. So if they thought you had a below 3.0 GPA, they would be less confident in your ability to pass the RD exam and like have the knowledge it takes. So that's why we would tell a coaching client to take the DTR exam, which is a lot of the information that would be on the RD exam or in the internship. If you can show that you pass that, then that helps them become more confident and kind of takes into account that plus the GPA, which will help your chances there. That's just one example, but then there's other things that you can do in lots of different situations on how to address the low GPA. But that's one thing. And then is that cumulative or just with DPD classes? So DPD is definitely the most important GPA, but they look at all the GPAs. I know I've had some clients that have been really concerned if they had a low first bachelor's degree that was in something other than nutrition, and then they go and do a master's with their DPD and it's a really great GPA. So at that point, I'm like, well, you should be focusing on that. Like, that's really positive, and I wouldn't be that concerned about the lower GPA and something not related. But if it's a low DPD GPA, then you really should be having communication with directors to get confirmation that you would still be competitive for their program, and do some research on that to see if it's really worth applying to, or find a program that doesn't have a minimum DPD GPA. Okay, so those are the types of questions that we get from our clients all the time. They're trying to figure out, where's a good spot for me? What can I do? And what can I do to increase my chances? And so there's so many strategies, hundreds of strategies that you can put into place. And our coaches teach our clients those. And they do that in a really personalized, individualized way to make sure that they're successful, that they're set up for, for getting matched or into their program that they want, and do that with the support, the accountability that is needed to get through this, because it's so busy. You're in classes, you're in work and everything. And the power of having that coach there with you just makes it so much better, and can push you and make you more confident than you ever could have been alone. So let's see, I think that's everything I wanted to cover today, and just kind of run through what Get Matched Coaching is, kind of the behind the website, like you see what's on the website, but getting more explanation about it. And we really believe that it's, it's a method and it's a process that works and is well worth the investment, because you don't want to submit an average application, especially if you're applying to top tier programs, or even programs that are maybe not as competitive, but you just need to get into that one. That's where coaching can help you go all in and make sure that it is a success. And talking to me before is awesome. Setting up that call to make sure to kind of talk through your background is great if you do have any hesitation. But otherwise, going and signing up right on the website, we'll see that come through and we'll get you started in one day. So don't wait, decide if you want the help or not as soon as possible, so that you're not doing it alone. If you do end up wanting help later on, the sooner you get the help, the more you'll get out of it. All right, so if there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat, but otherwise, that's all I have for you today. And I hope that you check out Get Matched Coaching and become part of our next cohort of clients, and go for that 100% match rate for the second year in a row. All right, thanks guys.
Hi, Janie.
Hey.
I think do you remember we spoke, I think